Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, over me hills to Pocondre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In this edition of Between the Headlines, we're going to be focusing on why President George Weah lost the election and what next. Undoubtedly, when the history books of Liberia are written, the name George Weah will be etched in it. He came from a humble beginning. Never been in politics before, he was able to manage a political party for 12 years, took part in his first ever election and won the first round. Since then, George Weah entered politics. He's been a man of the people. He rallied so many people across the country. And so in 2005, he won the first round and lost to President Salif in the second round, in the runoff. Same thing happened in 2011 when his party lost, even though they won the first round. Then in 2017, George Weah won the presidency in a landslide fashion against now President-elect Joseph Newman Boakai. But President Weah lost these elections, and so people are wondering why. Because he was still popular. He's been very popular since 2005. He lost the election. We want to know why and what's next for George Manneh Weah. With me to discuss all this, we have the former president of the Union of Liberian Associations in the America, ULA, eminent Emmanuel Sonnyboy Wetti. Right now, he's the chairman of the All Liberian Conference on Dual Citizenship. Eminent Wetti, welcome to the show.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I know we've had you here several times on dual citizenship issue, but this time you are diversifying your portfolio.
Welcome, thank you. And I will do that more.
Thank you. Let me welcome Mr. Anthony Sie. They call him Munasie. Anthony is the host of the Hour of Politics. Today is one of my panelists here to discuss why we are lost. Mr. Sie, welcome.
Dennis, thank you. Let us do that. I think this is a very important topic. Why we are lost is a big question and a very important question to discuss. And Liberians need to know why we are lost, and we are here to help share our perspective on why he lost and what next for him politically.
Talking about sharing our perspective, who can share better perspective than Thomas B. Kane, our public financial management practitioner? He's here with us to shed light on why we are lost and what are his next steps. Mr. Kane, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. Great to be here.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Please share the show, invite someone, and we want to see your comments as to why this very popular president lost the election. I mean, he was so. In recent history, there's no president who was so much identify the common people either by playing the sangba, either by singing among the people in Newtown, either by preaching in the church, or responding to a heckler and say, I'm more Banam Peking than you, or say medulla oblongata to relate to those who went to the junior high and high school using all the big words. But or you see him even among the people all the way in Grand Cru dancing Nyanyachi. Why did he lose this time? And what can we say is responsible for that? And what next? What is he going to do next? Mr. C, I want you to get this ball rolling. You've been covering hour of politics. In your view, why did Mr. Weah lose the election?
Dennis, thank you. There are many reasons that we're going to share that led to President Weah losing the election in a very narrow way. He lost the election narrowly, and it's very important for us make that known. So, two key reasons. First, the way President Weah and the CDC governed. That is one of the major reasons they lost the election. Now, when we're talking about the way they govern, President Weah as an individual or as a president did not take the presidency serious. It's obvious President Weah had limited understanding when it comes to the gravity and the importance of the office of the president. And so, because of that, President Weah was more like doing things that would not show that he had a deep understanding of the opportunity that he was given as an individual to lead a country. Then is for us to get a good picture of it, we're talking about the presidency, the likes of Tipotech fought for, Bacchus Matthew, H. Wema Faulkner, and many other prominent Liberians who wanted to serve the nation state Liberia as president. They never came close. So this is the kind of job President Weah has gotten. And in no time, President Weah started dancing. He started making music. He took pleasure in traveling here and there, whether or not he would come with empty hands. So President Weah was more about the purse of the presidency than delivering and serving the people and improving their material conditions. President Weah was all about that than the duties and responsibilities of the presidency. That is what those were the things President Weah about. Now, the other thing was the political calculation they made that was completely wrong. He could have just stayed with Prince Johnson, he would have won the election. Just simple. Stay with Prince Johnson. Whatever Prince Johnson wanted, he should have given that to Prince Johnson, and he will be president today. And we'll talk more as we continue.
Thank you. Let me go to Emmanuel S. Wetty as to why President Weah lost the election.
Well, I got 5 reasons, and CA myself will share one. So I'm going to go to first thing. One reason is the coalition that brought him to power. He didn't hold that coalition together, that group. He failed the group, and they failed to reconcile. I agree with CA. Absolutely no reason that you're going to have conflict with Prince Johnson. No reason. It's an election year. No matter how you call him and how you define him, he have influenced the Liberian election for the most recent time. So having conflict with Prince Johnson was not necessary. You should have reconciled with Prince Johnson. The third thing is diaspora Liberian. President Weah's connection to the diaspora Liberian was very poor and very weak. There was no opportunity for diaspora Liberian to engage. And look, he passed the dual citizenship bill. Diaspora Liberian left from here. They want to go vote. And all of them now are very happy. His connection with diaspora Liberian was not good. I mean, it was not there. There was no town hall meeting. I mean, President Weah came to America and only met his base. It was not necessary. The next thing is Montserrat County. It is true that Montserrat County is always in the opposition, but considering President Weah's own connection in Montserrat County, you cannot be getting back in Monserrato and in Nima at the same time. But Monserrato, and above all, let me admit, above all, the the very poor voter registration in the Southeast, they didn't do a good job. If you look at Nima and the other county did very good job for voter registration. In the Southeast, it was very poor. And if the Southeast had a good voter registration, the good 10, if most people have registered to vote, maybe they have taken up that 2,000, that 20,000 vote. But that's my 5 key reasons that I see that made him not to win the election.
Thank you. Thomas, what do you think?
Where there is there's a long list of reasons why President Weah could not get re-elected. But I just wanted to go back to your opening comment. In 2011, he did not come first. He came second in the elections. He was second to
In
yeah.
the first round?
No, he came second. He and Winston Tubman came second. It was in 2005 he came first.
Okay.
So in 2011 he came second, and then 2017 he came first and won up to I think 68% of the votes.
61%.
61%. Okay. The point is that I think overall George Weah lacks the capacity to be president. People denied this for over 12 years. It is not sufficient to be president because you have the country at heart. Managing a modern day state is very complex. Very complex. National issues on the ground, international issues globally. You have global competition among superpowers, and you have to navigate your way. President Weah was not just able to be in charge. And he started to make mistakes from the very beginning of his presidency. At this point in time of the transition, if we all remember what President Weah did, he asked all of the ministers to leave the ministries and leave it in charge of the HR directors. Even though turnover notes had been written, because in 2017 it was very clear Madam Salif knew that the Unity Party was going to give power away. And so she impressed on all of these head of agencies to do these turnover notes headed by the Governance Commission so that the new administration that was coming could be able to start on a good footing. Instead of leaving these ministers in place so that they could have these former turnovers and discuss these turnover notes at the ministerial level, he asked all of them to leave. And no affront to HR directors. But HR directors, in many instances, don't know the technical details of things that are happening in the different ministries. You could be a HR director at the Ministry of Finance, but you really don't know what is happening with macroeconomic stuff and all of that. So he asked everybody to leave. So that actually affected the transition. And then when he took power, he thought that the solution to many of the problems that we had were very simple. One example was that when he took power initially, rice price started going up. He called this meeting of rice importers. He had a meeting with them for a couple of hours and said, okay, I ask you to please reduce the price of rice by $2. And they all left the meeting. But it's not going to happen that way because rice is coming through a value chain. So instead of doing a critical analysis of problems, they were only trying to solve problems through these low-hanging fruits. So he did not take an approach of actually paying attention to details and doing a lot of work. He took this approach of letting the problem to solve themselves. And they didn't go away. We had this rice crisis until his administration ended. Somebody spoke about the coalition that brought him to power. He didn't manage that well. The other place where he failed was the issue of communication. He took over the country at a very critical point in time. Onme had left the country. The economy had some challenges. As a leader taking over at that point in time, you needed to take the country along with you. Talk to them, convince them that, okay, things are difficult today. We need to go through difficult times and tomorrow things will improve. But he just refused to talk. Besides the State of the Union address, he never addressed anything that happened in that country. The Ministry of Information was, in many instances, dead. They only respond to issues that were raised by the opposition. And then overall, the economy started to get very bad. The way they managed the issue of the currency that was imported, even though printed under Madam Salif regime, It became a serious problem. So inflation went up. I think 2019 December were around 30% inflation. Prices of commodities skyrocketed. The only thing that could stop that was the IMF program that we entered. So on communication, he failed. On early signs of governance, he failed. And then, like everyone is saying, when the economy gets bad, the urban sector goes against you. And that was tested in the 2020 elections. And he couldn't still get the signal. They said he wasn't on the ballot. Even when he won, he did not go back to the counties to go and say thanks to the people. The only time President Weah went back to go and say thanks to the people that voted for him was when Darius Dillon defeated them, I think twice, or either after Darius Dillon first win. That was the time they realized that they are losing the grip on Monserrado and they therefore needed to go back to the counties. That's how it went. And even when he went to the counties, he went to River G, for instance, and blasted at the people that didn't have a good town hall. You have to understand the history of the country that River G is a new county. It is not like those old counties that have the county administrative building. So things that government needed to do, he was getting annoyed with people for not doing them. And then governance went very bad, no participation, no inclusion, appointed a bunch of incompetent assistant ministers and deputy ministers who did not know the work that they were doing, but only to support him on Facebook. So everything like crumbled until the demonstrations started happening and we was thrown off balance.
Thank you. All right. Let's take a step back before we talk about why he lost or why he failed. Let us look at the people voting because the voters are responding to something. So, Mr. Wetty, let's look at historically how people in Liberia vote and how they voted because you stated some things that are why he lost. So, are you tell? Let's look at did the voters respond because of this reason? And is that historical?
Yes, it is true that based on our own understanding, economic factor, poor communication, those are things. But let's come to the real meat of how Liberians vote. I mean, it's very sad, but I will say it. We vote on tribal line, we vote on sectional line, we vote on geographical location. That's how the people vote. We vote based on the direction of our leaders. So let's take an example. Those from Nima, they voted on the marching order of Prince Johnson. He went to them directly and told them that, look, Nima has been a very important county economically and everything, but we have not had the opportunity to sit to the highest seat. If you carried a son from Nima as vice president, our chances of holding the highest seat will be higher. Now, people say, "Oh, Prince Johnson made a statement that Omar Burger is old. He will do this, he will do that." Let me tell you something. In election, you speak different languages to different people as you move from one end to the next. That's how it is. And his message resonated with the poor Nima County. In Lofa, the poor stuck with Uncle Joe. No matter what happened, they stuck with Uncle Joe. In the southeast, you saw it. They stood with Joe Weah. And if the southeastern people if their voter roll was very high, they would have provided that 20,000 vote to George Weah. But they have won the least voter registration. You know, Monserrado is closer to the seat of power. So they feel the heat of the differences. They feel the heat of everything. You know, so that had they voted on tribal line. And if you look at the geography of Liberia, the poor in bomb, remember that we got 6 major counties in Liberia that you have to win to become president. You got Nima, you got Lofa, you got Bum, you got Monserrado, you got Bassa and Mangibi. Of the 6, we only got 2. And Bum, we got Bum because a dollar from Bum County was a vice president. Now, don't get me wrong, the economy, for Monserrato, it's different because they put him in Monserrato, vote on the economy. Outside of Monserrato, I will tell you, they vote on tribal line.
Thank you. Mr. Kana, I want your response because whatever we say, the reason was meaning the voters responded that way. Mind you, this was a very narrow margin.
Well, for me, I have always said eventually the votes became very narrow because of the magnitude of resources that George Weah put into these elections, especially in rural Liberia. And this is where one of the wrong things that he did that came out to actually haunt him. Instead of George Weah investing in the governance structure of the country, he invested in individuals to deliver specific counties to him. And what happened was some of these people actually won and he lost. So there are no drugs in the hospitals in Lofa County, but Thomas Fowler has all this money built, paving the streets in Weah, building the town hall, the city hall, and building compounds for himself, building a technical university or college. Nathaniel Magay has all of the resources when he had this conflict with Vice President Joel Howard Taylor to deliver Bone County to him. And eventually Nathaniel Magay was investing heavily in Bone as well as even Greenbass, or giving all of these scholarships. But yet there were no textbooks in the schools. So he kind of like undermined the bureaucratic structure of the state and invested in individuals. You had Nathaniel Magay brother investing heavily in Bopolu. So he happens to have won a representative seat. Thomas Fowler won a representative seat. Bill, who rebuilt an entire village when he was head of the NPA, won a senatorial seat in Rivers Hills. But eventually we are lost because he undermined the state infrastructure that was put in place to be able to govern. When he lost grip of Monserrato County, he then was fighting to get all of these other counties. And that's where the problem came from. On the issue of why he lost Prince Johnson, it's also related to governance issue. The money Prince Johnson was asking for was not something for himself. It was the county development fund. When the economy went very bad between 2018 to 2019, the county development fund was now released to the counties. And by 2021, when the budget started to grow, they even stopped it halfway. Instead of giving the counties 200,000, they started giving the 100,000. And then the money that was coming from Metasti, which is the social development fund, the component that needed to go to these counties, they were not giving it to them. So that was a governance failure against the laws that are already in place. And then the other thing was that we are marginalized the intellectual class, people who had degrees that needed to work, and then they come from these different counties. And so they managed to have just gained against it in this election. And so even though those regional dimensions are there, okay, these people come from this place, this is how they vote up, around the tribal issues, but it was people who had to leave Monrovia to go to these counties and educate these people that regardless of these resources that we are exporting into this election, he is not competent enough to lead the state. And so all of these things, the regional representation in government, everything eventually play against him that led to this 20,000 difference that actually kicked him out of power.
And Thomas, my question there was, so the voters, so if you went in the poll to vote, were they actually looking at this thing? Was this those things you listed? Is that what the voters consider to vote against him?
Definitely, especially the economy, right? The economy was one issue that was on the ballot that people voted for. I was in Liberia around May for a couple of weeks. A country that has no electricity came to a point where people had to cook soup for more than one day and eat it for 2-3 days. That was how difficult the country was. The other issue is the lack of jobs. No jobs in the country. Companies had left. New investments were not coming in. Companies that were there Firestone and other people downsized. And so it became so difficult for people who even were graduating to get jobs. So let's leave those regional dimensions aside, especially in the urban areas. People were voting on the economy, the difficulties that they have gone through over the past 6 years. And then the people that were educated, marginalized, some of them, they said they were going to reassign them to other places. they could not just stand this kind of marginalization for the next 6 years. So it's a combination of these different factors, the economy, poor governance, and everything that actually went against George Weah.
Mr. Sia, it
Dennis,
appears to me. Go
Dennis,
ahead.
I just want to support what Thomas is saying. Uh, the issue in Nima, many of the people in the CDC camp or the George Weah camp said that the people of Nima will select development over Prince Johnson. The people of Lofa will select development over boycott. It don't work that way. So, like he mentioned, those who are educated, those that came from the diaspora, they went out there and educated their people to say, yes, even though you're having these things, but there are other things that are not available. So, we should have kept the diaspora, we should have kept its coalition, we should have kept its team together to sell in this very area. Yes, intellectually, you will say that people will select development. But I tell you, Liberia is not that way for now.
Mr. Sia, it appears to me that politically the country is fixed. You have people who are for CDC. You have people who are for Unity Party. And to me, I don't know to what extent these issues that you are talking about will move someone who is supporting CDC to say, no, I'm no longer supporting CDC. On the surface, not being liberal, it appears to me that people are just fixed in their areas, and issues or no issues, they just stay where they are. And a very tiny minority is the one that can go this way or that way. So convince me to what extent these issues that we are talking about, maybe we are to lose.
Then is the issues made some people to have voted against George Weah, made some people to have a campaign against him. Eminem mentioned the diaspora. There are some people in the diaspora who have had expectation that President Weah would do certain things for diaspora Liberians. Those of them who did not see that campaign against him either by talking to their family members that do not vote for President Weah. So in that case, Weah will lose some votes. Now, the tribal thing in my judgment is not big. If the tribal thing was so huge, President Weah would not be in the position to win election in Liberia easily, especially a presidential election. The southeast that he comes from, the population is far too less compared to even one county, Nimba, right? And so when you look at Nimba County, President Weah won 50,000 votes in Nimba County. If the people in Nimba County were voting only on tribal land, President Weah would not get that much votes. President Weah got more votes in Nimba County than even 2 to 3 counties in the southeast combined. So I don't think a lot of people are voting on tribal lines in their majority. Now, it said that other people are not voting on tribal lines. Other people are. Why are other people just following Prince Johnson when he says, let go this way? More than likely is on the basis of tribal line or because of county line, if I can pull it that way, if there's anything like that. So talking about the economic issues, then is, there are so many things that are moving other people in different direction based on how they feel about it. Now, let's look at the economic hardship in Liberia. When was the last time you called somebody to say in Liberia and say, oh, things are okay? Say, well, it's not easy. The prices have gone up significantly compared to previous administration, which had led to the suffering, in the country. For some people, that they don't have jobs that Thomas mentioned, of course, you don't have a job. Some people's salary even be harmonized. Civil servants complaining people have to protest before they get their salary. We will want to have to protest as we speak now. My understanding is that they have not been paid for Christmas. And that might not be the first time they might not have been paid for any season or particular holiday. So for some people, that is enough for them to say, well, you have to go. So a lot of reasons. But on the political front, if only President Weah were to keep a relationship with Prince Johnson, he would have won the election. The only reason Joseph Walker won the election, in my judgment, this is a debate. The main reason is because he had Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson delivered over 138,000 votes.
That's correct.
If Prince Johnson were where we are, he would have delivered similar amount. And in fact, maybe he would have delivered more than that because we have got 50,000 on his own. Prince Johnson delivered 138 for Joseph Walker. Maybe Joseph Walker would have gotten 38 of his own. And so if you look at it, we are, or the CDC will have won the election only if they had Prince Johnson. Even though all of the other factors we mentioned took some vote from him, there are some disenchanted citizens who left CDC and even supported Joseph Imam Walker. It's because of the failure, in the party, the confusion, President we are being selective, and some people it's about President we are not talking to the people. He goes to his church. Some people ignore that he's just making music. Some people ignore that President we have started building mansions just upon taking office. So some people left. But for some people, they say they don't care. I have family members who stay with President Weah, even though their economic conditions got so bad up during President Weah's term, and they were even living better during Ellen Johnson's leave. But they stayed there because they love him as an individual. They didn't care whether he delivered or not. It's their choice. And like you said, it's like just a little minute people in the middle, and everybody have taken their side, Unity Party and CDC. That is also true in a big way. You are muted, Dennis.
I wanted to go to something else, but let's talk a little bit about this Prince Johnson thing. Mm-hmm. The way we are describing it as, like our people, they are so monolithic. Sometimes we say Southeast, thinking that's just one group of people, which they are not. And also we say Nimba and Prince Johnson, they will tell them what to do, which I don't believe is true. So in Nimba, you have more than one ethnic group. And either we say Prince Johnson know how to make his case, because when we say wherever Prince Johnson direct, there where the people go, Prince Johnson is speaking to issues. If Prince Johnson told them, say, hey, we are closer to the presidency because this is the first time we have a potential president, because the president is old, he may not go for a second term, and so we have a Nimba vice president. And if anything happened, it's very possible that Nimba produced the president. How is that tribal? How is it? I don't Prince Johnson know how to effectively present the issues, but the people are not blindly following him because he's member of their county or member of their ethnic group. Well, what do you think about that, Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, I think in many instances, these politicians actually sometimes flow with the wave. Because after President Salih's first term, for instance, in 2011, I think it was pretty clear that she was going to win her second term. And so Prince Johnson was on the side, even though he ran as a presidential candidate in the first term. In the second term, the push that Madam Salih had was not necessarily winning because the CDC had already dropped out under this issue related to James Flomoya giving the CDC number to Unity Party and Unity Party to CDC. So President Salih's push in the second term was that she wanted majority of the people to come out to give her a resounding vote or a very high number to give her this kind of democratic credential that even though CDC was not there, people voted. And so she had to get Prince Johnson to mobilize Nimba to be able to come on board. So 2017 also, Prince Johnson knew that the United Party wasn't going back. And just as it happened with CDC this time, people were just saying that regardless of what the United Party did, especially in the intellectual class, people were not willing to give the United Party a third term.
And Prince Johnson knows that.
Right, he knew that. And it was like we're going back to the top man era, that we can't have another more 27 years. So the United Party needs to go. And so he joined CDC. And George Weah won. And if you watch his videos, when George Weah and his government started to actually do the wrong things, and there's this video on Facebook, he went to Nimba And he said, if you can't pay people, the prices of things are going up. There are no jobs in the country. If I come back to the people of Nimba and say to the people of Nimba that we should vote for Prince Johnson, what would they do? They will even drive me away. So he knew that things were turning around. We had gone through these by-elections in 2020, and it was difficult for the CDC to win. They were putting independent candidates in places. They were putting their own people hands up, and they were getting defeated. So eventually, Prince Johnson knew that our CDC is shaking. And so in the end, he joined the Unity Party, but they triggered it on the issue of the county development fund. The other issue on the political front is that CDC fought very hard to destroy the CPP, and in the end, it kind of like hurt them. Let's imagine for a moment if the CPP has stayed together and Mr. Cummings and Joe Buakan went, and Prince Johnson still with the CDC. What would have been the outcome? Perhaps it would have been a different situation today. But they lost Prince Johnson, they broke down the CPP, and then the Jeremiah Kun's election came as a fallout of what happened in the CPP, and eventually he and Joe Buakai won the election. So I think Prince Johnson is somebody, he watches the political situation, he watches where the wind is blowing, and he kind of drive along with it, and therefore he then happens to be this kingmaker as we move along. So he's a kind of savvy politician, and you have to know how to actually deal with him. And CDC dropped the ball on this.
Savvy indeed, that's how I would tell him. You see, the animals, they say no animal ever die in a hurricane or tsunami. They always watch and then they move on the other side. I think that's what Prince Johnson is doing, Mr. Sia.
Dennis, I couldn't agree more. The guy is very calculative. He pays attention to the political happenings in the country. He pays attention to the people, what they're saying. He looks into their dissatisfaction. And this guy listens to radio. He listens to all the shows, and he goes to his county. He listens to his people. And he has a way of knowing which way the presidential election is more likely to go, given the sentiment and the satisfaction, the economic factors that drive people, to vote in a particular direction. And then Frank Johnson will say, okay, it's like things are tilting in this way politically, based on the way people are feeling, the economy, the poor performance. And if you look at the protest that I know Thomas mentioned that earlier, the protest, the one that was the biggest, the June 7th, that was a big threat. And then Prince Johnson is also looking at a government that later on started having some of its officials being sanctioned. And he was listening to looking at reports that are coming from State Department, referring to the CDC government as, kleptocratic, and so many things that this guy will pay attention to, because when he decides, he doesn't want to fail. And he is not only believing that, well, because I Prince Johnson, Nimba people will follow me. He has to give them something. He has to give them a reason for them to follow him. And, and then another thing is that the Nimba thing, the social development funds. I heard Prince Johnson many times spoke openly and almost like told to President Weah, you can't do this, like advising him. I feel that Prince Johnson has been very comfortable doing business with President Weah, all right, than any other person. He saw him as a son. They have had a good relationship. And so he wanted to do business with him, but he could not compromise the fact that President Weah was not living up to the agreement that they reached. More so, the Social Development Fund from Nimba County, President Weah and the CDC miscalculated, said, well, when we use the Social Development Fund on the people, when the people of Nimba see us using the funds in the county, they will come more to us. They will not see Prince Johnson and that person again. And Thomas is right. That's where they were wrong. And, they should have done that through Prince Johnson, and then they will be able to, get the political dividend. So to conclude, yes, Prince Johnson is not just the people in Nimba just not following him because it's Prince Johnson. He always find that way to communicate with them effectively, giving them reason for them to go his direction, and it's always based on the political reality in the country. He's savvy. He knows his stuff, Dennis.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's why the military is a very good organization. Mr.
Yeah.
Wetty, let's go to the southeast,
Yes.
where people. Yeah,
Before we come to Southeast,
yeah,
I
it's the same question, right?
think I just want to
Mhm.
just a little bit different with my two brothers here. Uh, I don't think Prince Johnson go by the wave. I don't think he studied who's going to win, so he jumped on the ship. Prince Johnson is an honest man in his discussion, and he represents the interests of the Nevadians. In everything, he tells you what he wants. He make it no secret. No secret. He told George Weah what he wanted. On many and several occasions,
That's true.
he said it. And just as my brother say mentioned, they refused and said that, oh, when the poor will see development and they will not see Prince Johnson. It's not true. So Prince Johnson will come to you and say, this is what I want. If you give me this, I'm going to give you this. And Weah didn't do it. And guess what happened? Instead of narrowing the conflict, they escalated the conflict and it came to a point. How many in the election year, you will go against a man that helped you to be elected before? Go ahead, Dennis.
But I mean, Wetty,
Yeah.
Prince Johnson was, when he fell at the beginning of the election year, or at the beginning, he said he was not even going to run for the presidency because he said the election will be rigged. Because at this time, he read that Weah was going to win. So he said the election is going to be rigged and President Weah he will rig the election and be. So at that time, he was for Weah. But when he felt that things were going the other way, and he started complaining about these things, I believe too that tilted things. But my question for you is the Southeast, because people who are not from the Southeast, like me, don't understand, or some don't understand, that the Southeast had more ethnic groups than they think, and that if you want to say tribal lines, you should talk about Grand Crew and Sino Mealy. Even when people hear Grand Crew, they think it's only Crew, but that's Crew and Gribble. Sino is Crew, Sapo, and Gribble, right? And it will interest you that Grand Jide, Weah has more support in Grand Jide and River G even compared to Grand Crew. So how is this tribal line, or we want to say regional line, or what line is that?
Yeah, I mean, we can say, let's look at the geographic.
Mhm.
The people in Grand Jide, River G, Sano, Maryland, Grand Crew, historically vote on the same line. And if you want to, I'm just saying, you can add Bassa.
Right.
So, yeah, you can
Because when
add
they
Bassa.
voted for Ellen, they didn't
Yeah,
vote like that. They
yeah,
voted differently.
yeah,
Okay, go ahead.
that's true. But in the election where you have somebody from that region, you know,
Like Cummings.
the commies. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Cummings was not going to do anything in the election. So let's, you
Like
know,
Tipote was from there when they voted.
people,
Tia
yeah,
Chipo,
but
Tia Chipo.
these people were not connected. So let's,
So it's not tribal lines now, it's something else.
yeah, but this is what happened.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, Dennis, we shouldn't close our eyes. Liberia elections is based on tribal, sectional, and geographical area. Let's be honest. We shouldn't come here except for Montserrat, because Montserrat where everybody living. But you have to really look at it through. You have to really look at it through. The people in the southeast will go with a candidate from the area. The people in Nima. I mean, Prince Johnson said it very clear. He said we shouldn't waver. Prince Johnson make it very clear that look, if you vote for Omer Boyka, you support Jeremiah Kun, our chances of becoming president closer. He said it, and the people follow. So I agree with everything you are saying. There are economic factor, there are other things, but to just dilute to just erase the sectional part, the travel part, I think I will have a problem.
So let me give you a few. In this election, we have Cummings from Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
We have Appleton from Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
right? So why aren't the people voting? So what I would expect will be if people are voting on travel lines or county line will be Grand Crew will vote for Weah,
No,
Maryland will vote for Cummings and Appleton, right? But it is not happening. Crown people are voting for crewmen more than
no,
unless you're saying they are all the same, that one tribe.
no, I mean, there is almost the three quiet people. You could say that too. You could add that they are the three quiet people. But when you come to Grand Judah, I don't want to add this part, but since you stay issue on the Grand Judah issue, look, people of Grand Judah will vote for somebody who is closer to President Doe, the late Doe. If you show your support to Doe, they
Then
will vote for you.
that will be an issue. It's not travel.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just adding that. Then,
And I think Gonglo was, let's say, because Weah is this man who denied Nancy Doe's salary, So, but go ahead.
yeah, I mean, look. Then when you come to the Nima factor, I will say it, and I will say it again. It was a big mistake, whether it's political, economic, social, what kind of mistake. To cut off from Prince Johnson was a mistake. Prince Johnson, to this day, no matter how many tribes you got in Nimba, he is the political godfather. And having conflict with Prince Johnson is a no-no. One of the panelists said something here that if Prince Johnson was going to support Weah, there was not even going to be a second round.
Dennis,
I don't believe
I am heavily on the fact that people in Liberia are voting on the issue more, and that one of fewer people as you're voting because of travel line, right? For example, let's look at Grand Crew that you mentioned earlier. In Grand Crew, I'm looking at the next numbers here. Joshua got 29,000 votes, and Joseph Walker got 2,641 votes. Now, even though the percentage is 91 to 8%, but Joseph Walker got 2,000 plus votes in Grand Crew County. Now, Abbott Chile, who was the head of CDC campaign in the Southeast, specifically Grand Crew County, he launched a campaign that he said 100% for Weah, 0 for Walker. The people in Grand Crew County, Eminem mentioned the choir aspect of it. He tried to move the goalpost a little bit. So let's put it on the choir level. Now, all the people there are choir people. Joseph Walker still got votes in Grand Crew County. This is Joshua's hometown. The powerful senator of Grand Crew County going around telling his people, don't vote for Joseph Walker. Don't give him a single vote. But the people of Grand Crew said, no, we're not going to listen to you. We know how we feel. Some of us aren't even getting our salaries. This man, he's from here, he claims he's from here, but we don't even see what he's doing. Thomas mentioned something earlier that President Weah started going around when they lost the senatorial seat to Darius in Moserado County. I don't see it that way, Thomas. They went around because of the county tour that President Weah started making. That's why talking to the counties. It's not because they lost the election.
The county tour was after they lost the election.
Yeah.
Well, it was planned before. It's not because, we lost the election, let's do county tour. No, they were planning it.
They were not interested in it. They were having fun in Monrovia. When they lost the election and lost Montserrado, this is how they realized that we needed to invest more into the interior. Because if we can't get Montserrado, one second.
Just hold it right there. Anthony raised a very important point that I want to buttress a little bit. Jeremiah Cowan, that's how we call him. His father is from my hometown of Dudwicken. Mm-hmm. Jeremiah Cowan went to that place. He didn't reach our town because of the roads, but he stopped in the first town next to Grand Judah, which is Jokoken. and the people were energized. Our own son, we have someone in the mansion. Guess, and his actual blood cousins are in my town. Guess how many votes he got from there compared to Weah? We have swept the town, and not Buakai. If the people of Dodo blood cousins cannot vote for him because they say, well, we don't know him. He's our son. They know his Pankun, his Omen or Wulakun grandson. But no, we are going where we are. So I want to agree with Mr. C that the people of Liberia, those who vote on travel line, that's a very tiny bit. But most of the people vote on issues.
I think the voting patterns are changing. Let me also add another thing that actually undercut Weah. The issue of the roads. This was one thing that actually affected George Weah. And yes. And one reason why the issue of the roads affected George Weah was because George Weah canceled the celebration of the July 26th celebration across the country. That was one thing that Madam Salif had, where people will always have to go to a specific county. And this was wrong. But it always made sure that the roads were passable or pliable because the entire government was going to a specific county. If a government was going to Nimba that year to Sanikoli and any little bridge broke down, the Ministry of Public Works would rush to go and rebuild that bridge because the celebration needed to go for July 26th. And July 26th is almost like we are already in the rainy season. So if the roads were slightly reconditioned for July 26th, that would take the people on that road through the entire year. But when President Weah came, the economy was very bad between 2018 to 2019. They said that was costly. So they canceled all the July 26th celebration and repatriated everything to Monrovia. And so they completely abandoned the roads to the southeast, to Lofa County, and to other places, which was one thing that actually affected them, which happens to be an issue. So I agree. The voting issue in the rural areas, they are happening. People are voting on tribal lines. But again, with the kind of educated people that went back to their villages, this is where the dynamics happen to have changed for these elections.
All right, I think we
Dennis,
hold on, Eminent. Okay. I wanted to move on because we have to do what next. But
but then what next?
No, we're not going there yet. One issue that you have not mentioned is a lot of people say Weah was incompetent, and another group of people always mention of people surrounding Weah. They said, well, because Thomas, when you spoke, you talk about all the things that he was not able to do. He was not able to communicate, but he's not by himself, right? You have people surrounding him. So what you make of this whole idea of incompetence, where the people voting based on, he's incompetent. And the people surrounding Weah are the one fooling, but Weah is a good man. Mr. Wetty, what do you make of that? This whole idea of incompetence and people surrounding Weah.
On the issue of incompetence, I don't see it that way. But surrounding George Weah, I will speak to that. I had the same experience. For the last 10 years, we have been advocating for dual citizenship. President Salif was not successful in passing the law. But every time I went to Monrovia, I'm sorry for using the word, we went to Monrovia, President Salif would meet with us. Even when she come to Washington, D.C., she would meet with us. Our delegation went to Liberia. Those are around President Weah. We never met President Weah. All the advocacy for dual citizenship, considering the effort that he made, we made every effort to meet President Weah. Never. Even after the law was passed, we never. We tried to contact him, to honor him, to appreciate him. Never. The people surround him, they just built a fence. So I can relate to that. I know, the person that really stood with us is Councillor Archibald Bonner. He was always in the trenches. Can you imagine we won the Liberia for the referendum and we couldn't be President Weah? Even McGill we couldn't see him. So we just want ourselves campaigning. So yeah, it is true. Those that surrounding the president, they built a lion den.
And you are saying this now. Your institution have partnered with Focus on Liberia to advocate for this issue, and you are saying that now openly.
Yeah, what I'm seeing, I'm addressing the issue of the surrounding.
I agree, but you are
Yeah,
openly saying it now. Why couldn't you say it? Maybe if you have said it before and
I mean,
people around
we
him have
want
heard it, they will have opened up.
we want the Liberia. Consider Bernard will support us. He will be with us and guide us. To see President Weah, the surrounding just stop us. Now, let me come back to something I just hope that you can. I just want to touch on this thing, on the issue of how people voting, whether they're voting on issue or on tribal land. Lofa and Nimba are the two most developed countries under President Weah administration. The development in Nimba is not in the southeast. The development in Lofa is not in the southeast. So if we are speaking of the issues, then of course the people in Nimba and Lofa should have voted for Joe Weah.
No, because they are now one-dimensional issue voter.
I'm just saying. So I'm just saying something to you that if you look at the Nimba is well developed on a President Weah. They got almost 24/7 light. Things in Lofa are much better. But go to Grand Crew, just go to the southeast. So all I'm saying that yes, these things are all into one: the tribal issue, the economic, and Jovial connection with the diaspora and all those things. But we cannot erase the fact that people didn't follow the traditional leader. That's the point I want to make.
Dennis, just 1 second, considering that I come from Lofa, I think this issue of development in Lofa is hyped. Nothing much happened in Lofa besides the cement that Thomas Fowler put on the streets in Foya and the city hall they built.
At least there's something.
No, I'm coming now. But 1 minute. No, 1 minute. I get it. I get it. But it goes back to the point that this is the reason why we are saying people are voting on issues. Because if you go back to the Southeast, the people voted for George Weah saying that considering that he has done this and that in Nimba and Lofa, the second term will be focusing on us. Because the approach that President Weah took was a similar approach that Madam Salif took. Because Bronskin was very strong in Bassa, let's try to convince the Bassa people to vote for us. This is how their road was one of the first roads that were paved. Road went to Nimba. The hospital interpreter went to Nimba. That development will convince the people to vote for us. So Lofa also, when President Weah knew that they did not vote for him in 2017, he kind of like marginalized them from the beginning, but eventually they turned attention to them. So I'm just saying the development, everybody say Lofa was developed outside Foya, and this is why Thomas Fowler won, because all the resources went to Foya. Not really, Lofa did not benefit a lot. So in the end, it's actually the issue rather than tribal lines.
And then, if I may, I agree with Thomas. Most of the Southeasterners say, well, he is our own. We see that he focusing on Morovia, Montserrado County, Nimba, Lofa, and maybe other counties where they carry some projects and nothing significant in Grand Crew. Grand Crew, the only thing I heard there was solar panel lights, few of them in Southtown. I'm not sure if they're working right now. And then a few houses there in Grand Crew in Southtown as well. And another thing, President Weah, I was told by one of my kinsmen in Southtown, when he went there for the first time, he left $1 million Liberian with them in the divided, right? But all along they say, well, now that he's taking care of the other places, once he wins again, it will be our turn. He will bring development to us. I don't think the people are looking at it in a tribal way. They too want development. They say, well, we'll vote for him again so that development can come to us. It's not because of the tribal line. So while it is true, we emphasize here that few people or some people vote on tribal lines, most people vote on the issue. I have a friend who continued to tell me, say, my man, you and President Weah from the same time, or why are you so critical on the man, and so on and so forth. For me, he blindly votes for President Weah. He will complain to me of all of the things President Weah doing that he doesn't like, but still, he will say, I'm sticking with my crew, brother. And the obvious reason for him is because President Weah is crew and he wants to identify with President Weah, or because President Weah is crew. That is the same with some people. But for most people in Liberia, when it comes to making a decision as to who becomes president, I think it's based on the issue. And for some people, the issue might be what development will come tomorrow. The issue might be because, well, we share the same
Mr. C,
belief.
Mr. C, hold on, Mr. Wetti. I want us to
Right.
move on from the travel line.
Yeah.
I asked about people. Do you believe people surrounding Judge Weah and incompetence were reason, or the incompetence charge were reason why he lost?
Dennis, that those two are part of the reason. Look at what Eminent Wetti has explained to you. I know how many times Eminent Wetti and his team went to Liberia. They were campaigning for dual citizenship, something the president and the party said they were supporting. In fact, most of the intellectual explanation that the CDC used came from Eminent Wetti and others. The CDC used it, but yet they won't want to see him. So this is somebody who is championing something, thereby putting him and others who identify with the issue in your corner politically, but yet you don't want to see him. Eminent Wetti, if he had the opportunity to vote in Liberia, I'm not assuming, right? Maybe he would decide not to vote for President Weah because of the way he and his team been treated. They went to Liberia, they want to see the president of Liberia. All those around him will not allow them to see him. He could change the vote. Somebody in his team could also decide not to vote for President Weah. Some of them will want the one President Weah out. Look at, he made a comparison with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Every time they went, they met Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Every time Ellen Johnson Sirleaf came to America, they met Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. So if you were to give Eminent Wetti the opportunity to decide who should be president, will it be somebody who would not want to see him or the person who would want to see him to have a seat at the table? So the issue of surrounding a place is a significant part for some people. Now, on the issue of competence, it's a big thing for some people. Wow, Dennis, do you now want to have an effective and competent government that delivers the goods for the people to meet their material condition? I want that. You want that. Everybody want that. But is it everybody that cares about it? No, not everyone cares about it. For some people, what they care about is a travel line. Some people, just a party line, and so on and so forth. So those things contributed, but not in a significant way, and that is my conclusion.
Thomas, I want you to speak to that quickly, and then we move on to our next, which is what next?
Yeah, I think I mentioned in my opening that Weah is not competent to be president.
But
He
that's why
doesn't-
you put him out?
Yes, and he doesn't even have the discipline. And when you watch some of the interviews that he have had, he mentioned in one of the interviews that the discipline comes with this job. You have to sit down, you have to go through papers, you have to consult with people, you have to have meetings. He did not just have that kind of discipline. This is why he will always escape and go to the studio. And even the issue of coming to work.
Or
If
the
you-
church.
Yes. So all of the critical issues that need to be addressed, you will wait for Sunday and go address them in the church, which is not the appropriate place to address them. If you ever live around the boulevard, you notice that President Weah will come to work. His convoy will pass around 9 to 10 in the morning. By 2, 3, they are on their way back to Jamaica Resort. He never sits in the office. And this is a job that requires to drive the entire government. And this is where one of the failures of the government was, because there was no center point where everything was coordinated. And then power became decentralized. Samuel Twe had his own set of power. Magay had his set of power. Jefferson Koji had his set of power. Akaras Gray had his set of power, because Weah was not an effective leader. So even if he's talking about coming 2029, I'm not even sure that the experience of the 6 years has actually given Weah sufficient knowledge and skills to be president. Since when he took over, because Madam Sedi used to sit at the foreign ministry, he used to work at the foreign ministry until this incident of a snake. They found snake in the foreign ministry. Since Weah left, when they found that snake, I'm not sure he came back to work until they renovated the executive mansion and he moved there. So that discipline is not there. Weah himself does not have the competence to become a president. And then the people around him, many of his ministers, they have not handled these portfolios before, and they did not have the discipline to sit down and do real technical work. And the blessing we got from this was that they did not really jump into our natural resources a lot, because it requires a lot of work. Even to just renew the Metasteel contract, they could not do it. HPS, they couldn't go through. So the incompetence, it hurt us in some places, but in some other areas, it actually helped us. But I'm saying that Weah himself was incompetent for this job, and the team he put together were not competent enough. And everybody played to his incompetence. You have to just satisfy him. You print a T-shirt that he's the best president. You pull it on him. You have this musical program, and this is where they attracted a lot of young people because the entire government was fanfare, not really doing the real work that was required to move Liberia forward.
Yeah, thank you. Before we move on, just to close this whole tribal line thing, I'm going to play a video of somebody who is kissy, like President Joseph Numa Boakai.
Standing in front of Mr. Vani Kane's shop, saying that Joseph Boakai will never ever become president in this country. When you become president, yeah, you're going to pay me off for your bros.
We should pay you off for your bros.
Yes, I sacrifice because you win. But you will never win. Hey, winning the Inkias will bury
you are trying to tell all that if Joseph Boakai becomes president 2023,
you're going to kill me.
We should kill you, right?
Yes.
We should kill you, right?
Yes.
Okay, who's speaking?
I'm Miss Angelin Siabuno saying it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Put it there. Keep it for record when you become.
All right. If that doesn't satisfy you, that our people vote on issues, what else?
But then we're not seeing the do. We think the combination of things that move the voting. So
that was also a joke.
Yeah.
Because Angelina became a star. And,
when his name said the information minister who became superintendent of Sano and a senator said the same thing, man. Salif.
He said Tiaje said let hair grow in your palm.
Yeah. So these are political talk.
Angelina and Boakai, they are from Foya, and he said they should kill if I sacrifice. But I think people are planning to petition the national legislature not to kill Angeline.
But all right, then
I disagree. Those things are not political talks. You know, this is how people look at things, and then they try to actually minimize the importance of what people say, you know, the gravity of what people say, and sometimes lead to us not holding individuals accountable. And then they exhibit bad behavior. Look at what Milton Tiaje said. I was paying attention very actively to politics at the time. He was on the side of the CDC. This man said, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf win, hair should grow in my palm. If I were Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, I would not appoint him. It's not anything against him. All right, why give such a man a job? But anyway, people see it differently. I just wanted to make.
Go ahead. I like your line you brought in. Yes, I didn't meet President Weah. We got all the support from Councilor Bona, Kara's Green, and other people. We never met President Weah all the time. We want to elaborate. He even came here. But the line that you brought in, whether I want to vote, that's another line. That's another thing we discuss another day.
Yeah, but from what I followed the election, you still stood by President Weah throughout the elections. And I follow your posting. I follow what you said.
Okay,
that didn't matter that you didn't meet him.
Let me make it very clear.
Yeah,
I said it in private, and I would say in this public. There were three major candidates in the election. My first choice was President Weah. My second choice was Ambassador Boakai. It was not an issue for me if Ambassador Boakai were going to win. I didn't want the communists to win. I want to make that very clear. I want to be on the record. You know, my first choice, President Weah. The second is Ambassador Boakai. Ambassador Boakai, in my own view, as an advocate for diaspora Liberians, have supported us. He supported us with the immigration. He's a strong man on dual citizenship. So he has the same attributes when it comes to diaspora interest, like President Weah. So these are the two people. If anyone else wins, I was okay. Yes, I wanted President Weah to win, but I'm okay with Ambassador Boakai win. As a matter of fact,
President-elect Boakai.
As a matter of fact, I have shared oxygen with President-elect Boakai. We went to Rhode Island, we went to Minnesota to advocate for TPS and DED. So I know him. I worked with him before, so I don't have a problem. And
you never worked with President Weah yet. You wanted him, but that's another discussion.
Yet you voted for him.
No, I don't vote that.
You voted for him morally. You voted for him morally and spiritually.
That's your interpretation. I wanted two of them to win. I don't care, but I
He
wanted
was your
Weah to win.
first choice, so you voted for him
Yeah.
morally and spiritually. That's okay.
Okay, let's
And
leave
it's
that. We'll
based
have
on the
another
issue too. It's based on the dual citizenship issue, right? He
Yeah,
gave it to you.
and the same reason why I support President Boyka. I met Boyka many times, and
Yeah.
not only that, we have had working meeting in
Yeah.
Rhode Island and Minnesota for TPS and,
Right.
and DED.
Right.
So he is a diaspora person. So we are still
Based on
winner.
what you have said, he should have been the first choice. But hey, that's election. Time passed, and then we're moving on. Now, what next for President Weah? Okay, and let's set some expectations here. President Weah has, according to one of our colleagues, he said he has etched his name in the annals of history, and he's leading to the Mo Ibrahim Prize. Some say he's going to be, because the election was so good and that he turned over power, he's going to be like a goodwill ambassador. African leaders and world leaders going to call on him to say, "How did you do it? Help us." Some are saying all kinds of things. Some say, well, as president, he was making music and doing all kinds of things. Maybe he's going to open a studio. So, looking at all these, let me start with you, Eminent Weti. What next for President Waka? For President Weah? Where does he me live? Politically, I want to say.
Well, I see him running in 2029. The election was just 2%, about 2%, 20,000 votes.
One,
less than 2%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean about. That's why I say about. It's
Okay.
about 2% and 20,000 votes. So he still got age on his side. He still got health on his side. He still got money. He still have the energy, and I see him coming back. I don't see him not coming back, except something happened. But I mean, Omar Burka came back. Trump is coming back, and I see him coming back. But also, what I see from him is that I think he's coming back. You will have more good people to be around him and to help him out, and not that these people that put an iron claw around him. But I see him coming back in 2029. Look, Dennis.
You said good people. What do you mean good? Because that same question was asked to Jesus. But what do you mean by good?
Good is relative. Like the experience I got. Imagine, Dennis. CSA said the same thing, and you said the same. How many times we not travel to Liberia? How can you have the signature project of the president?
But that didn't change your vote, Eminent Weti. So I mean, I think that's a non-issue.
No, I never voted. How can you? I know.
Vote spiritually.
You have? In fact, let me frank. President Weah, you will be remembered for dual citizenship for this generation and the generation yet unborn. And the team, the people that advocated for it will refuse to physically meet with him, except Councilor Bonner, who have helped us, who are with us, Akaras Gray, and other people. So, I think in his next run, he will find the right people who will be people. You can be a president, you come to the United States of America and don't meet the diaspora. It's not possible.
Right. But and yet, and I'll bring you back to that, and yet this issue didn't matter. You still voted for him spiritually. But here's my question.
Okay, go ahead, boss.
I
like Dennis. If I had a chance, I would always be on the show with you and see it.
Right. Now, President Weah had the highest number of people in his government being sanctioned. I mean, his inner circle, we say. I mean, look at McGill. The three persons we heard over and over were in his orbit, and they were telling him what to do and what not to do. Well, Koji, McGill, and Tue, all three have been sanctioned.
But right? Why you always talk about sanction and exclude Prince Johnson?
No, hold on. I'm talking about people closer to President Weah. I'm not talking about Prince Johnson sanction, and I'm laying this.
I like the separation.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right, and people closer to him have been sanctioned. His Attorney General or Solicitor General, people who were like, oh, he's the one writing all these things for these deals. So people are thinking that this sanction thing is coming closer to Weah. Would that be something, or even and then people like that have been sanctioned already, they may become disgruntled towards him and even kick him out of the party or make him very unpopular in the party, because for them, they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to protect now. They in the water, they already be willing to take back. Do you think these things will come near him, that it will kind of lower his popularity or disqualify him from coming back strong?
So, Dennis, let's talk about this sanction. I want to be on record. There's a need to fight corruption. Corruption is a cancer in any society. And I do appreciate the Americans coming up to help us fight corruption. I agree. I honestly agree. But I also think that we Liberians should be asking the Americans for the Marshall Plan. We have had a successful election. We are showing to the world and Africa our road to democracy. And we've been the oldest independent republic in Liberia, in Africa, and a good friend of the United States. With all the democratic progress we have made, I think we Liberians now need to be looking up to America for the Marshall Plan. What next for our country? With everything that we have done, what can we benefit? Or how can you help us protect our democracy? Yes, we can fight corruption. I agree. I mean, the sanction I'm not, but I really believe that Liberians now should be asking the American about the Marshall Plan. We have done well in Africa. We had elections free and fair. We had election. Our president, the sitting president was defeated, and he called, the president elect. So I mean, this is the time that we, yes, the sanction. I don't have a problem. I'm not going to dwell on, because for me,
you have not responded to my question, and I get what you're saying.
With
the sanction of his key officials, those surrounding him, people are speculating that this is coming closer to President Weah, that he too may likely be sanctioned. But whether he be sanctioned or not, with this being so close to him, is that going to impact his comeback?
No, it will not impact his comeback. I mean, it not impacted the poor Nimas voting Prince Johnson in. It never impacted McGill being elected. It never impacted Bill Quay being elected. So it will have no impact. And what is the impact of the thing? I mean, there are world leaders who have been sanctioned. They come to the United States, they go to the United Nations and speak and get back on the plane. So this whole thing, yes, I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on the before people say, well, you are very easy on we have corruption. No, it's not that. President Weah is his own man. He has his own character. He has his own record. I do not think that is those that have been sanctioned around him are not glue. They are not adhesive or cohesive to his body. They can be replaced. President Weah can find other team. But even at that, because Samuel Tue is sanctioned, so he will not talk. Because Prince Johnson was sanctioned, so he didn't talk. So these things are yet, political consumption.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I appreciate the American talking about the sanction and the helping us with corruption, and that corruption is a wrong thing. It's not good. But we Liberians too should be looking up to the American for the Marshall Plan, considering the progress we have made in providing democracy and showing the light to Africa and the rest of the world that, look, a free, fair election is possible.
Thank you. And by Marshall Plan, you mean America should give us money for having election?
No. By Marshall Plan, I mean that America should encourage American investors, coming to our country. I'm not saying they should chunk money or no. I mean, they should come and help us, build. Let's take the Firestone. Let's take the Firestone raw plantation. Why is it that you would take the raw liters and take it out? What is wrong with building a plant to process that? What is wrong with building a rubber factory that you can process it and even produce an end product? What is wrong with that? You can do it in Malaysia. You can do it in Asia. You can do it in other countries. Why can't you do it to Liberia? Why is it that you have to take the rubber off and ship it out? Why can't you process it there? And why can't you produce? These are the things we're talking about. And that's the Marshall Plan I'm talking about. Because we are proving to the world that, look, democracy is possible, and America needs to become the earth to be helping us in that direction. Let me say again, I support the sanction. I support the fight against corruption, because corruption is not good for any country or for any society. So I want to thank the American for that. But then we should go on the other level. Our progress in democracy require us the Marshall Plan. Thank you, sir.
Thomas, what next for President
Uh,
Weah?
Before I go to what's next for President Weah, I don't think we should be asking America for Marshall Plan. That's our responsibility as a country. Once you improve governance, you'll be able to attract foreign direct investment. You'll be able to attract international development aid. You really don't have to wait. There's already a lot of US goodwill flowing into Liberia. As small as that country is in the entire, I think, sub-Saharan Africa, either we are third or second in terms of international development aid that comes from the US to that country. But because we have always had poor governance, that's why the impact of all of these funds that go to that country, you don't see it. And it all comes back to this issue of corruption. I don't see the point where you say, okay, the sanctions are good, but yet you minimize the impact of the sanction. These sanctions are very impactful. If they were not impactful, Samuel 12 would not have broken down the way he has broken down. If you go to the language of the sanction on Samuel 12 and all of these people, they are banned for life.
Thomas, I didn't say that.
Come in. Let me just make my point.
I didn't say that. No, Thomas, I
Let
didn't
me
say
just.
that.
No, you say okay. They will still talk. They will still
Mr.
talk. They will still talk. They will still go out there and do something. These people are banned from even transacting with any financial system that has to do with the US. The US controls the SWIFT system. So all of the money toward them might have stolen and put it in Dubai and other places. How would they move it? So if there is no asset recovery, some of those money will remain in those accounts and other people will take charge of it. So these sanctions are very impactful. And if you see the US
I
bringing,
didn't say they were not.
now you see they still talk, they can still go ahead and do. I mean, Maggie and other people have gotten elected, right? But let's move on to 2029 and see.
The scene with Prince Johnson.
Yes, they've been elected,
Okay.
but consciousness level in the country is increasing. Do you know now that Magibi has a serious issue that 2 of their sitting senators have been sanctioned? Things will change. In the future, these guys will not have the political clout that they have around them, right? So the US has put a lot of resources in Liberia, but nothing comes out of Liberia because of this issue of corruption. Every little money you put in that country is stolen. The government is never serious to pay attention to even managing international development aid, because we just collect money from domestic resources, we pay salaries, and the rest we buy other things, shit and other things, we run the government without no seriousness for real impactful development. So my point is, let's not be asking the US for international or for Marshall Plan. Let's develop it ourselves. Those who like Liberia will come around. And I agree with you. As a country, we have built a democratic profile. For the past 20 years since our civil war ended, power is moving from one party to the other. What we need to move on to now is to build a foundation for economic growth. When we have everybody in the region going to civil war, going to a military coup, we have become an island of stability. That's why we need to build on and move forward. And building on to move forward, we need to deal with the issue of corruption. This is why we need to investigate these corrupt people and get them out of governance and be able to move forward. That's the way we attract investment. On the issue of where President Weah moves on from here, on the issue of Nemo Ibrahim, I think people have said that for the fact that when he considered, he said he was going to run again in 2029, and he keep repeating it, even on Sunday, I think that puts him out of competition for Mo Ibrahim. Because I think before you get that award, you can be an active politician. This is why even when Madam Salif got it, she decided not to be actively involved in our politics. But he will continue to remain an active opposition or politician. Also, his sources and his peace of mind will be determined by what the current government does. If they really aggressively go against his lieutenants on the issue of asset recovery, get much of the looted funds from them, is going to weaken President Weah. And what he does in the future will depend on how this current government actually deals with him. There's this presidential immunity and all of that, but there is a way they will get his closest allies, and that way they can be able to weaken him. But I still do see that he's going to remain an opposition figure. Also, there is some challenge within the CDC. We saw this podcast that what's his name? Dr. Tenney did. That sentiment is kind of reverberating within the CDC. And President Weah mentioned this on Sunday, that there are people saying they don't want him to head a party, but for him, he doesn't have time. If they don't want to go with him, he will step aside and other people will go. So I think he will have some challenge within the CDC, depending on how he led for these 6 years. But regardless of what he got some money. He will be in the opposition. His wife and other people mine a lot of gold and diamond in that country. I think his wife will provide some support to him now, because when he was running previously, there was not much support. She was here in the US, but she became first lady. They enjoy the resources of the country. I think if he wants to come back, they will all amass resources to see how he can come back and run for the presidency. But I think it's going to be a difficult challenge for him, winning his party and actually convincing other people that he can be a presidential material again for the next time.
If you are just joining us, this is Between the Headlines. We are discussing why we are lost and what next for him. If you want to join the discussion, the number is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Let Mr. Sia weigh in, and then we bring in our callers. Mr. Sia.
Dennis, politically speaking, what is next for President Weah remains politically promising, at least for now. It can be undone. It can be undone by the incoming administration. If they strategically intend to minimize his chances, they can so do through audit. They can extend the audit to him, and we will only wait to see whether they will succeed, either through an indictment, a guilty verdict that might deny him or disqualify him for running for office, and whether or not that will even hold. I will wait to see what this incoming administration will do. The only way President Weah will not have a promising political future is if and when an investigation, an indictment, a prosecution, a guilty verdict will deny him the right to run for office in the future. And if his party will allow that to hold, then of course he doesn't have a political future. Other than that, his political future is promising. Now, the little internal wranglings in the CDC here and that, this is not new. You know, those things have always been there, and President Weah will always become the head of CDC. It's obvious. All CDCians know that he's popular. They don't have anybody who has the popularity that President Weah has. They don't have anybody who commands the kind of love that President Weah has. Their greatest weapon politically is President Weah. All of those who have become prominent today, who have homes today, who became senators and representatives today, is because of the name Weah, his fame, his blessing that he's been given. That's what made them who they are today. So it will be an erroneous calculation on any of them because of sentiment to say, we'll let President Weah go. If they want to succeed politically tomorrow, President Weah should be their guy. And anything other than that, who do they bring? McGill, Twelve, who? They don't have anybody for now who they can bring for them to succeed. President Weah has a promising political future. Weah said it that he will be coming back. He will run in 2029, and when he runs, he stands a chance to win again. Now, United Party will have to convince Liberians that they can do better and that they will produce. And they have to give Liberian reason to not low President Weah way. Now, the reason Liberians low Unity Party's way is because of Weah's failure. That what brought Liberians back to the Unity Party in a very narrow way. Let us not forget, President Weah lost the election with 20,000 votes after 6 years. You understand? So he has a promising political future. And I said it will depend on whether or not anything will be done to deny him the right to participate, and that will even be a more difficult thing to do. Now, on the issue of whether he has earned his name in the annals of history by improving or bidding on Liberia democratic credentials, yes, you have to give it to President Weah. Now, the fact is, historically, Liberia has done well when it comes to democracy. Way before Old Man Third Man, when it was, so say one, so say all, and all that. Previous election, those the nation was not inclusive at the time, but there were elections being held. There was peaceful transition. We have Joseph Jikin Robert, Stephen A. Besson, and down the list. Peaceful transfer of power went under this new. Joseph Boakai, to his credit, did that in 2017. When he lost the election, he too called President Weah and gave a powerful concession speech. So this is not new. Be that as it may, you have to give it to President Weah because many people in the party never wanted him to concede. He said, no, I'm going to do it. So he set an example that Liberia has been setting, and he must be given a credit. And Liberia has done well. We have even proven that we can do better. We beat the U.S. Donald Trump, for example, is coming back. He's leading the pool, despite being indicted by several courts in the U.S. with multiple counts against him. He's leading in the polls. So look at President Weah. He's not being indicted yet. He's not being sanctioned yet. So even if he's sanctioned, more than likely, I think we'll still have a chance. The only thing that would deny him that chance is the unlikely possibility of being denied the right to contest, maybe because of a guilty verdict from the court that would deny him the right to do so. He has a promising future. The CDC does have a promising future.
And just talking about guilty verdict, let's be clear. Article 61 of the Liberian Constitution says, the president shall be immune from any suits, action, or proceeding, judicial or otherwise, and from arrest, detention, or other actions on account of any act done by him while president of Liberia, pursuant to any provision of this Constitution or any other laws of the Republic. The president shall not, however, be immune from persecution upon removal from office for the commission of any criminal act done while president. This is Article 61. Yeah. At this point, we want to bring in our callers here. Oh, there's an error. Callers, please give me a break. There's a... All right. We have our callers ready. The first is Calebo Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo.
Yeah, Dennis.
Mr. Gonglo, sorry. It's not, Mr. Gonglo, sorry. I'm sorry. The first is 346 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
Hello, Dennis. Good afternoon. This is Mr. Phillips calling from Houston, Texas. Thank you so much for the program today. Thank you for the analysis to your panel. Very, very good discussion. I put a couple of comments while you guys were having the discussion. My only concern in your analysis from the beginning was that the four of you did not consider the youth or the votes of those 30 years between 18 to 30 years of age. They represented the largest segment of the voting population. They are the social media generation, and social media played a very, very important role in this election and swung a lot of the votes. And most importantly, as Mr. Kane spoke very eloquently on the issue of incompetency on the part of Weah and the lack and his surroundings having their own agenda. Social media exposed a lot of his inadequacies and the lack of development across the country. So I think that needs to be factored into the reason why he lost. Granted, he lost by a very narrow margin, given a two-man race. Number two, I think it was Mr. Kane who spoke about the lack of growth in the economy. I think Mr. Weah also made reference to that. Also, that was one of the big issues as well. This election was basically, in my view, an election that was based on economics. The hardship in the country spanned from Lofa all the way to Maryland, from Maryland to Kidman. Every part of the country was very, very economically depressed. And the CDC came into office on the popularity of Mr. Weah, but he did not come into office with an economic development plan, even though he had everything on the table for him. And Dennis, I speak very, very strongly about electricity. The reason why NIMBA and I think Mr. Kane also spoke about Prince Johnson. You must give it to Prince Johnson. The guy is a very good political analyst. Very good. Because he analyzed everything about CDC and the way they were going and moving in the wrong direction. because they did not have an economic growth plan. They were dependent 100% on foreign aid from partners to supplement the national budget. And as a result, I think Mr. Weah spoke about it, that the economy, foreign investment wasn't coming in, jobs weren't being created, salaries started backing up, the UN people have pulled out. Ellen Johnson's elite government for the past 12 years has been heavily subsidized by external partners pouring in money. So it wasn't a quote-unquote real economy in my view. But we of them did not have an economic plan. Now, last but not least, Samuel Twer's interview at ELBC confirmed the point where he said that development will always disrupt traditional Liberian politics. If you go back to that video where he made that interview before the first round, okay? So they were dependent on carrying out development projects in every county, hoping that those development projects will swing the votes in their favor. But the problem is the development that they were carrying out didn't really change or affect the lives of the people in terms of job creation and quality of life. So as a result, people turned against them, and the people who were the largest voting population in this election were the young people. And they were the ones who were really hit the hardest.
Thank
So
you.
that's my point there.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Let me bring on Mr. Calebo Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo, you're live.
Yes, thank you, Dennis. Well, I got in the show late, so I can make substantive comments on most of the issues you guys have discussed. But just quickly to remind viewers and some of the panelists on the Prince Johnson issue. I do agree that Prince Johnson is a factor in our politics. But it's also important to note that in 2005, just for the record, Prince Johnson supported the CDC in the second round. That was Prince Johnson, the New Deal movement headed by Larry Tupac. They all, yes, they all went to Fanny Sherman, Coalition for Transformation Quota. They all went to CDC, and they lost to the Unity Party of LM Johnson. I was in Liberia. I participated as an LM supporter. So that's one. In 2011, we really did not have, in reality, we did not have a random elections. So Prince Johnson declaring support for Ellen Johnson Sally didn't matter because CDC, 2 weeks before the election, CDC withdrew from the random elections, and they were not participating and urged their supporters not to vote. Legally, they remain on the ballot, but it didn't matter again because they didn't go to the poll to observe it. So one would say that the real effect of Prince Johnson was, say, 2017. But again, in 2017, what I gave to Prince Johnson, I don't want to say political analyst per se, if one wants to call him political analyst. I think he's a popularist. What popularists do is they act on what is popular with the public. They go with public sentiment. In 2017, the sentiment in the country was clear. Okay, UP has done this, but we don't want TWP. All of us were in the elections and I was supporting boycott. And many places want to know that's not the only people who have ideas how to develop Liberia will try CDC. I mean, we have been told there's many places who want to campaign. Like we didn't want UP 10. Okay? Then whatever was happening between Boaka and Ellen that people talk about, it really didn't matter much. What was the most important thing was many of the young people, many of the voters said they didn't want UP territory, and because Ellen Johnson Sirleaf herself, 2 times she ran, she didn't reach 50% mark by herself. She hovered around, 30, between 30 and 35%. She has to always build coalition to reach, and that's the nature of Liberian politics anyway, even including Weah. He doesn't go 50% by himself. So one cannot, I agree Prince Johnson got influence, but let us not just give him everything. Let's share that with all the voters also. The voters see a path and they are going for it, and he jumped in for it, and it sees a show. That's how, for me, I see it. Okay.
Thank you.
Voters, there was a wave that Weah was underperforming. Things were tough for good reason. And sometimes people forget that, the economy is not down. Downturn in Liberia actually started with Ebola. Where growth was coming, then Ebola came. Then when we're trying to recover, according to World Bank and IMF statistics, then COVID came. Where COVID didn't have much impact on Liberia per se, but Liberia is an import-oriented market. Almost 60 to 70% of what we consume on the market in Liberia, we import them. And because of that, once the global logistics movement of goods got affected by the COVID, then our economy also fell in that trap. Okay.
Thank
so
you.
let us not lose sight of that also, that the economic challenges we have had was in part also we can attribute that to the global economic climate, given COVID and the impact of COVID on global economy.
Thank you.
That's one. But no, don't rush on this.
No, you spoke too long on the first point. So please.
Okay, so I'll move on this.
Right.
So on the issue of Weah, here is what I would say. If our Weah advisor today, I would say Weah do not think of running in 2029. Leave the stage. You can create someone. But if we are wrong, just hypothetically, if he decides to run, let's not forget that new recognition in Liberian politics and politics anywhere in the world is important. In the last 18 years, Weah and Bouaga have them on the ballot nationally. That is what helped Bouaga, and that is what also helped Weah in 2017. He's been running from 2005, just as Bouaga has been running from 2005. So if in 2029, Bouaga is not there and Weah wants to go, he will be the only person who has really had that name recognition in villages, in the hamlets, and all. So that might also help him. But for me, whether you have the ability to really build a strong, solid intellectual coalition around him, that will remain to be seen. And I think at this point, I will really doubt it.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gonglo. Our last caller is Mr. Jim Nalasa. Mr. Lassa, you're live.
Yeah, good evening, Dennis. Thank you. I want to say hi there to my good friend, Emmanuel Wati, my own president, as I often call him, and to say hi to Asuni and Brother Khan. Brother Khan, I'm increasingly getting impressed by your own, your own contribution to the show, I have to say. But look, I have some points. Let me first of all agree with my friend and brother Kellewood Gonglo about Prince Johnson. I don't think there is anything so particular about his political skill, other than that he is an opportunist. I knew that voters in Liberia had really born against Weah, and if he didn't follow it, he'd be a loser. So he himself is on various recordings making such a statement that the voters are going different way, and anybody who goes against that will have to suffer the consequences. So he had to jump on board. He's an opportunist. That's why I would consider a man like Eben Snow. There are those who can see where the wind is blowing the John. Some of us really normally do recognize where the wind is blowing. The only difference is that we stand for principles, and we are not going to jump ship only because you are winning. The purpose of life is not just to win; it's to stand for what is right. So if you want to win, and I know that what you want to win for is not right, that we're not going to support it. But Prince Johnson and Eben Snow don't care. Once he wins, he will join you. That's what I would give to him as much. I don't think there's anything particular about him, to be frank. Now, but Dennis, on the issue, a couple of issues that the victim margin. Many people often say less than 1%. Coach will say it's 1%. When in fact it is actually about 2%. But I really think if you go into the numbers, the victim margin is about 10%. If you actually factor in the various contributors to what led to the final outcome, which will include, for example, the distortion coming from cash violence. We had a lot of money to manipulate the process, and that really helped to distort the outcome of the election. I don't agree that Liberia is divided, to be very frank. If Weah won by 10%, that is a landslide victory, and I think that was what was happening over there. And then, if you, for example, just go to the election website, check for District 10, where Yete Koluba is, look for the result for the first round. Yet the same exact number that Weah got is the same exact number he got the second time. That's not true. That's not. It's impossible. Go to Grand Crew, you'll find polling places that have election results far more than 100%, 104%, 107%, and none of that has been. They just Russell gave the result because in the end, Weah will win, and so there may not be any noise. But if anybody goes to check, you'll find out that there was massive cheating over in the election. So I don't agree that the election, the victim margin was as low as 1%. Now, concerning the issue of gracious concession, how could we be credited for any gracious concession? Well, in the very speech, he was already threatening that he's going to be around. He's not going, meaning that he's going to run.
How is that a threat, Jimmy? How is that a threat, Jimmy?
Oh, then it means it's a threat. That means, you're going there, but don't mind, I'm coming back for you. Let my supporters know that I'm coming back for you. That's not gracious. That is confrontational. And then he says the country is divided. That's not gracious. And then the evidence of that is what happened just a few hours after that statement. Somebody, and you hear CDC partisans crying on social media, crying with tears that they are ashamed, they don't know how to come out of their homes. And somebody drives his car because of that. Somebody drives his car into the UP place and kills several people, wounded several people. That's not a gracious concession. We have to be honest in this place. It's not gracious. So I just thought to make those few points. And if you ask me why he lost, I would say he made it very, very easy for any lazy propagandist to make a case because of the ethnic tribal domination of the government. That was like an insult to anybody. I mean, we had to win. I helped him to win. I didn't believe he could be a leader, but I did certain things that helped him to win. Okay? But for him to just make the government to be so dominated, composed of people from one side was insulting me. I want to bomb country. I told people I want to win. But first of all, I want you to make sure that Weah is defeated. I spent a lot of money for that. And any of my supporters will tell you, that was the first thing I said before I asked people to vote for me. I want you to kick Weah out. And the easiest thing I could say was the tribal domination. I'm a parent man, for example. We are about 26 to 30% of the population. We are the largest group. There was not a single parent man who was heading a single agency in the Weah government. How easy for me to make a point, to
Morgana Flomo was agriculture minister, Pele, from Bon County.
For how long? For a few months.
Joel Howard Taylor, vice president.
I say agency.
Laza, you are completed flat. But go ahead.
Yeah. Who again? Anthony, who again?
I say you are completed flat with your analysis, but go ahead.
Boy, I'm just saying it. Just check. Let me know. So the point I'm trying to make is that it made it very easy for me to tell anybody who is a pro-Weah person in Bon County that, look, we are a majority. We can't sit there for these guys to come in. We have to make. We are peaceful. We love our people, and we should be leaders, not or somebody else. Not the one man who wants to bring. He actually sensitized Liberians to ethnic and tribal domination when many of us were against it. So that made it very easy for him to be defeated. Now, on the last issue, I know you don't have a lot of time for me here.
Yeah, because if you look at the Bon County Laza.
Hold on, Mr. CLA Infinite. We have more callers calling in.
On the issue of whether you return, I doubt that. I think Weah's real vote, I think he will still be popular. He'll have a base. He's not going to lose it. But that base is going to go down to what it used to be or below that. It will linger around 20% of the country. He's not going to be able to ever make a national comeback. That will be 20%. And that would be it, because all of the myths about him have been exposed. There are no more myths. We know that he is weak, he's a womanizer, he's a travelist, he's corrupt, and very lawless, and has no regard for system. And so, and the video, social media, you don't have to talk too much. I just need to bring video, post it, and then you see it, and we'll move forward. So he's not going to make a comeback. Absolutely not.
Thank you.
Thank you, Janet, for the channel.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a 441 area code and then 3010 Lion Yakun. Let me get the 441 area code, your name and where you calling from.
Hello?
Hello, what's your name and where you calling from?
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Yeah, my name is Mo Kiatamba, calling you from United Kingdom.
Go ahead, Mr. Mo Kiatamba.
Yeah, I'm just kind of surprised people keep telling us that Weah is coming back. Weah legacy is a shamble, to be honest. His legacy is a shamble. We have no chance of coming back. No chance. That's the fact. Okay? Weah administration was a failure. They are a bunch of corrupt individuals that have been running this country. You know, they have stolen money since they enter into that office. They have been stealing money from Liberian people. So if people tell me, say, Weah is coming back, I don't take that for serious. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, Weah is finished. It's completely finished. Its government will full of gangster, bunch of corrupt people who don't care about the country. They don't care about ordinary people. Okay? They stole everything. Rampant corruption, injustice, insecurity, and drugs deal. That was the order of the day in Liberia under this government. So nobody should come fool people here and say Weah is coming back. He will never come back. Even if Weah comes back, he's not going to win. Period. And let me tell you something. Liberia people will never forgive Weah. When I traveled to Monrovia, I shed tears. Early April this year, when I went to Monrovia for a visit, I shed tears. When I saw people on the street begging for money, people suffering, malnourished. It's unbelievable. So people shouldn't come here and tell us that Weah is coming back. He's coming to do what? He's coming to do what? Sorry, he's not coming back again. He's finished, and that man will be arrested. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me get my last caller now. That will be the Sedition Teddy Lion Yankun. Go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah, thank you, brother. For taking the call.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Teddy Lion Yankun. I'm calling from Fargo, North Dakota.
You forgot about your lion title?
The defender of the cause for the masses, for the masses party, the CDC. Well, we understand that, people with ulterior motives, they will come up with these strategies. You got to see that they have used, they are hypnotized the mind of Liberians who don't really analyze because of the high rate of literacy. I think you can fear people. Why scared? You should applaud President Weah for setting the table for you to have the opportunity to prove yourself. President Weah considered, demonstrated to the high standard of true democratic person, as a true democratic person, that proving democracy to the rest of the world, putting Liberia on the map. This should be a signal to you. And there is a message to the Liberian people. For the Liberian people, they're always making these kind of decisions based on politicians telling them what to do, based on trouble lands. When a trouble is, forget about that. You got to put your mouth on the Southeast Kingdoms. But we are very intelligent people when it comes to, the Crew people. You should tell God thank you for President Weah and his people. They have been providing peace, struggling for peace for all Liberians. In our tribalism, we prove peace and love to everybody. Tribalism based on why you demonstrated. You know, it's a message God sent to Liberians to know who are the real tribalists in that country. So you guys got an opportunity to prove to the rest of the Liberian people whether you guys are not tribalists, whether you guys are true Democrats. Our people and the President Weah himself, all Liberians people, nothing but we are proving, demonstrating intelligence and love for all Liberians. In our music, in everything we do, we cry for peace, we call for peace for Liberians.
Thank you.
It's our way of tribalism, to love everybody and work with everybody. Now you got a chance to prove yourself. So I'm not going to all that. But for President Weah coming back, he will come back big and bigly. So when you guys in the political arena, you don't understand the dynamics of politics.
I know.
You don't know what's going on in the world.
Thank you.
President Weah is a true ambassador for peace in the world. He want to serve the rest of the world for peace. And the mechanism is on ground already. The Bali Island, in the future, this place will be built. The conference hall, the International Peace Hall, will be built in Liberia for only Mahatma Gandhi.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Teddy. Thank you.
I respect.
Dennis, Dennis, if I may, Thomas, let me go first on this one. I just listened to my friend Laza, very smart guy, talking about President Weah was a tribalist. I'm sorry that, this might appear to be trying to defend a Weah who by every definition shouldn't have become president of Liberia because he's not a leader by any stretch of imagination whatsoever. Weah, however, in Bond County, his own county, he went and campaigned there. As he said, he spent his own money, and his people rejected him. And his people voted for George Weah. George Weah got 74,000 votes in Bond County. The Pella people are close to the people of Lova. I think they say they are uncles and cousins and nephews. I don't know what that actually means, right? So one who have thought that Joseph Walker who have won Bond County, but President Weah, he won Bond County. President Weah chose Joy Howard Taylor, who I should believe should be a Pella woman, and also from Lofa County. I understand.
Loma, I think.
From Lofa County. Now, if you look at CDC, look at Momba Mono, who is the chairman of CDC. He's from Lofa, from my understanding. Koji, who is now the Secretary General, been the youth leader for forever and ever, now Secretary General. He's also from Lofa. We talk about Thomas Fowler. We talk about Sir Joseph, who is one of the powerful senators of the CDC. You can name so many people. Janga Ko, I think, who was the Controller General. My understanding is from Lofa. He's now from the Southeast. There are so many people. I can even say that Lofa County dominates CDC's leadership. So where is the tribalism here?
Increase your volume on that.
All right.
Increase your volume.
The thing about Weah is
right.
Weah is this guy who Liberians connect to so much because of the football he played and the way he carried himself at the time he played. Weah is a peaceful man, I believe it. All right. So Liberians who support Joe, we are cut across all tribes and all counties. Look at Sekou Kalasco. He's a Mandingo man. That man would lay himself down for Josh. Yeah, it's not from the Southeast. So I don't know where this thing is coming from. There are Mandingo people who support President Weah. Even Amara only wanted to do business with President Weah, but he just didn't succeed. So where is this thing about tribal thing coming from? Tribalism exists. Some people vote on tribal lines, but I beg to disagree that President Weah was this big tribalist who government was formed on the basis of tribalism. Have you feel that? And I don't think that's the case. Most of the people that President Weah appointed, either they supported him Either they were part of CDC, and those are the reasons why he appointed them. It's not because they are from Southeast. I don't think he went looking around. Let me see. Is that man Southeastern man? Let us appoint him. I don't think that was the case. Let's look at the National Election Commission boss. Is she from the Southeast? That's a consequential ministry. If President Weah was that trouble, he said, well, I'll put a crew member because that crew member will ensure that I become president of Liberia. Did he do so? He never did that. One of the most recent appointments for Ministry of Agriculture, the leader is not from the Southeast. So I reject the whole issue about tribalism, and this is a dangerous and divisive politics that many people continue to carry around here, and it's just sad.
So Dennis,
if I may, let me just.
May I just come in? Look, see it. Let's say it right. This notion that the Southeastern in Georgia government is wrong. As a matter of fact, we are the victim. There's no road connection. Check the appointments. Check the inner circle of Georgia. They are not from Southeast. They are not. Look at the structure of the CDC party. How many schools the Georgia built in the Southeast as compared to Nima and Lofa? What did he do? Suppose you stop this thing. Let us move forward. Let us move forward. Look at all his appointments. Look at his surrounding. Who is from the Southeast there?
Yeah, even Daniel Magay was like a de facto president. He's not from the Southeast.
A de facto prime minister.
Can I come in?
Look, Chairman, I'm sorry. Sometimes these things come in the public, and you try to swallow them. But we from the Southeast, we didn't get anything out. There was no road construction. There's no major development in our area. But the poor from Lofa, the poor from Nima, got all the development on Georgia. Suppose you stop this thing about us benefiting from Georgia. It's not true.
So I think it's unfair, Anthony said, to have refuted the point that James was making. The CDC as a party, as an institution, is different from the government. The CDC party structure, yes, has some people in there at the leadership level that are not from the Southeast. And part of the reason why that eventually became the case was because the party and the government fell apart after 2018. When Mulba Molu brought that recording out that Weah was bringing money from out of the country and not depositing it in government account and taking it for himself, Weah went against Mulba Molu and people who came to Molu defense. You remember one program they organized at ATS appreciating, I think, President Weah? Thomas Fala and others had to come to Mulba Molu rescue because Weah wasn't happy with him. This is how Thomas Fala and others managed to have taken over the party because Weah was running the government. And if you say you want to dispute what James was saying, yes, we agree. Joe Howard Taylor was the vice president. But since Muganda Flomo left the government, there is no minister or head of agency that is from Bong County. That's a fact. You can't refute that. Cape Man County, I think they had only one assistant minister at the Ministry of Youth and Sport. I think Malaya Sharif or something. Cape Man had no minister. Bomi County, I'm not sure how. Okay, Bomi had the internal affairs minister, which was maintained when Weah took over. So when it comes to the appointing power, people that President Weah appointed in positions, from the central bank to the Ministry of Finance, Deputy Minister of Finance, let's agree to the fact that the Southeast did not benefit in terms of development, but they occupy top. Yes, I agree to that. They did not benefit. They did not benefit. And this is my frustration because I did not even see Samuel Tuah go back to Maryland for the past 6 years. I'm not sure he ever went there. Because if he ever went back to Maryland to visit his people, he would have put money in the budget to maintain that road. But we cannot dispute the fact that President Weah did not appoint. Even when Nathaniel Magay left, who did he appoint as Minister of State? It was somebody from Grand Crew. So all of these top, Blamo. All of these top,
he was the deputy to Magay.
Even in the security sector, whether it was or the immigration service, it was, and they were all from the southeast. They said, so let's not dispute.
Immigration, no, the
The
immigration
police.
no,
So
the
let's not
immigration director is not from the southeast. Conor Robert is not from the southeast.
Okay, so let me agree with you that the Southeast does not benefit, but disproportionately, the people that President Weah appointed at the top level of government, the majority of them were from the Southeast. But I wanted to go back to the point that the first caller made on the issue of young people and the issue of the internet. I think the internet play a major role in these elections, right? Also, because of the internet, it actually increased the role that the diaspora play in these elections. So you have all of these media entities coming by this talk show, that other talk show, and people will sit here and influence things on the ground in Liberia. So this is no longer 1980 where you think Liberia is isolated and you can just do anything you want to do. And this is something our political leaders need to understand, that now your governing of Liberia is, you are not only governing people who are in West Point and Nikuta and other places, you are governing for everybody. Because
those in the diaspora,
because the more things are difficult back home and you increase the burden on them, they have to spend so much money sending it back home, they will remove you. And you saw people like Costa used to sit here and call for people to go demonstrate, and they will go and demonstrate. So I think the internet, the young people, it play a lot of role in this past election. I just wanted to agree with that caller that made the initial call.
And Thomas, go ahead, Dennis.
Yes, I want us to draw down the curtains now. I know you are having this important discussion. But I didn't intend for us to go 2 hours. So let's do our closing comments. The issue of Southeast and who's in the government, I believe they were, and now this new world of Southeast have entered our politics. It wasn't there before. So these are new things that are coming. And so to what extent, I think what marred Weah administration was the level of, getting wrong people or square pegs in round holes, regardless where they came from. I think if Weah, all his appointees, even if they came from one county, God forbid, and if they were competent doing the right thing, I don't think we will be having this discussion. So I think his appointment, while it is true that he had more people in these 5 counties than any other group of counties, because we never used to kind of say it like that. When people were appointed from Lofa, Bong, and Nimba, we did not say North Liberia or Northwest or all that. But because of Weah, this Southeast thing has become more prominent. And I believe that if those people that he put into position, if they were doing the right thing, if they were good people, if they were competent, if they were doing the right thing, it wouldn't really matter that much. But hey, Weah is gone. We said why he lost. The perception, that too was one reason, because everybody said it. Weah, you have many people from the Southeast in your government, and we don't like it. And he never listened. And it is the voters that are voting. So if that's what they are saying, and you keep doing the same thing, you don't fire, you don't change, you don't reshuffle, you don't do anything, even though the people appointed not affecting any, influencing or affecting anything in the Southeast, you have more people from Lofa going back to Lofa and doing better things than people did to River G, Sino, Maryland, Grand Crew, etc. So all in all, that too was a contributing factor, I believe, to his being kicked out. Let's conclude now and draw down the curtains. Let me start with the eminent. Your closing, sir.
Well, thank you. I think this is my first interview that got nothing to do with workmanship for the last 10, 15 years. So I want to tell you thanks for everything. And I want to thank my other panelists, for the time. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody, you guys. I believe that President Weah will be coming back in 2029. For him to come back, I think those from the Southeast need to have good voter registration, do a good campaign, time to have the voter to come in, register more people, and try to be engaged. I agree with the caller that the youth and the social media that bring in the diaspora Liberians, they play a very major role. I mean, nobody should underestimate the diaspora. Right now in Liberia, they got the radio station in all the villages, and we in the diaspora have the ability to get in. And as we go along, I want to say thank you, President Weah, for dual citizenship. That will be his legacy. About 5,000 Liberians from the diaspora voted in this going election. I want to say thank you to Archibald, Councillor Bernard, Representative Kofa, with Senator Chie, Sherman, Senator Dillon, Russell, Representative Russell, and Batekwa, and all of those people that supported dual citizenship. Yes, we had we never met President Weah, but these people I mentioned supported us during the entire time that we were in Liberia. I want to tell the Liberian people, thank you for the support of dual citizenship. With dual citizenship now, Liberians now can use their Liberian passport and go to Liberia without visa. We now can vote. We can own our land. A child that is born to a Liberian woman is a Liberian at birth. I just talked to Dennis. I'm hoping to come back on the show because the next thing will be the issue of employment. So we'll be talking about the restriction and everything. But thanks to everybody for the opportunity, and Dennis and the CEO. Thanks for at least allowed me to talk something outside of dual citizenship for the last 10, 15 years. So at least that's my Merry Christmas. And my brother Thomas, it's a nice meeting you. I do appreciate you. And I just say I've been with CA and Dennis for a long time, but I do appreciate it. I've been following you up, or at least interacting with you on the same platform. I learned a lot from you. And Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you.
Mr. Kane, you've been getting your Christmas from yesterday.
So good show. I think President Weah lost for so many reasons that you can discuss in 2 hours. So we discussed some, the callers contributed to some, but there's still a long list of other reasons why he lost. But I think for me, the two things that summarize all of it is his incompetence. He's not capable to lead a country, a very complex country like Liberia, as well as the team that he put together. I don't think they were competent also. The other factor is that he brought people who knew how to do stuff, but because they knew that he wasn't following them, he didn't care what they were doing. So they just did anything that they could do. On the issue of his future, I think we spoke about it, the current government, what they would do. It's not only on the issue of audit, I think Ansuniswe mentioned this, but it's on the issue of how they will govern and improve the lives of the people. If they provide better services across the country, improve health and education, improve job opportunities, that will narrow down the opportunity for George Weah to make a comeback. Because for me, I do think that the only good thing we got from George Weah as a president is that he set the bar to the bottom as to how low a president can come in terms of performance. So anybody coming close to George Weah, just know that the people are going to kick you out. So everyone is going to be mindful not to perform the way George Weah performed. So he's that yardstick for measurement from the bottom, and everybody will spring from there and be able to move forward. I don't think he has a lot of chances for coming back. And also on the issue that he's the only asset that CDC has. CDC is already an established political party. They have a strong grassroots support, even though they frustrated the grassroots support that they had. But in the House now, they have the highest number of political party representation, 25, I think, lawmakers and some senators. So they have a very good base. The CDC can select anybody and be able to move forward. They can bring some serious people in there and they can still mount a challenge. Not someone like George Weah. And I still do think that considering the way the sanctions are going, I do think that George Weah will be sanctioned, which will really deepen his, reduce his chances of ever winning elections in Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sear.
Then in as much as I believe that President Weah is a weak leader, he is not somebody we should be looking up to provide presidential leadership and help our people. The fact remains that President Weah is popular. He has the greatest political capital as we speak in Liberia. Despite the tough times our people have experienced, he lost the election with just a little over 20,000 votes, to be exact, 20,561 votes. And President Weah can make a comeback. He said that he's going to come back. I don't see what's going to prevent him. The only thing that can prevent Weah from coming back to contest and have a chance is Weah himself. If he decides to come back, then I think for me as an individual, I'll be happy because I don't know what difference he's going to make. He's going to bring the same Joshua. He's going to be making music, maybe more. He never made music before becoming president. He came to the presidency, he started making music. He's a blood boy. He said, I'm a celebrity, and that's it. And he will be celebrated again. I don't think Liberia needs a celebrity president. We need a duo, a leader who will shake tables and come with policies that they believe in, that person believes in, and lead our people in a much more transformative way. So George Weah legacy, yes, George Weah has legacy. You may not believe it, you may not like it, you can disagree with it. A legacy to concede. It is not the first time. He's not the first president. Joseph Boakai did it. Other presidents did it in the past. All right. But it is a monumental legacy for him. The dual citizenship, that's powerful. Those of us who live in the diaspora, it's a good thing. We like it. All right. Even though some of us don't love the restriction, we have to grade eminent for that. But we can go back to it and remove the restriction. That is a legacy. So many things we can point to as President Weah's legacy, but those are the two I think stand out for me as an individual. Weah has a chance to come by. If they come by, they have a chance.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the time. Mr. Sia, what's on the horizon for tonight, Friday night debate?
Tonight, Friday night debate should be the debate probably that will mark the greatest debate for 2023. For tonight's debate, we'll be debating three major issues. Issue number one is with President with President-elect Boakai shake tables and govern differently as he is vowing. Remember, Joseph Boakai said that he's going to govern differently in his interview with the VOA. So we are asking the question: will he shake tables and govern differently? We will be debating that issue. Issue number two will be is the presidential pardon covering Samuka and others good or bad for justice in Liberia? President Weah issued a presidential pardon that covers former Defense Minister Brandon Samuka. What does that say about accountability? Is it good for justice or is it bad for justice? We will be debating the issue there. Also, issue number three, who is to be blamed for Liberia's wrongful on Gaza ceasefire at the United Nations? President Weah is saying that someone changed the vote. The officials are saying, no, that is why you told us. We will debate the issue tonight on Friday night debate at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And Thomas, if you have time, come to the debate. Let's see your debating skills. You're using analysis too much. This time we want to debate the issue.
On that, also, tomorrow, we're going to continue our series, Moving Liberia Forward. And we're going to start with higher education. Mm-hmm. How we're going to improve higher education to move the country forward. Dr. Edison Pajibo will be joining us from the University of Winneba in Ghana, and Dr. George William, who's here with us, will also be participating. And mine, the FOL education analyst, Cesar Goya, will be my co-host. Then on Sunday, we'll have Professor Nancy Reeves Davis talking to us about peaceful coexistence in Liberia has a way for sustainable development. You don't want to miss those as we help the Boakai government suggesting ways to move the country forward, because it is in our interest that Liberia move forward. I want to go back, man. I want to go to Dodok and eat my roasted groundhog.
And Dennis, we should find time one of these days to discuss some of the things that George Weah did that are impactful. He passed the Local Government Act, the Land Rights Law. Yeah. Let's find one day to discuss the good things that he did.
Yeah. Dual citizenship.
Dual citizenship, and I mean, these are impactful laws that were passed, even though they are not implemented, but we implement them moving forward.
On that note, we close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Thank you, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.